Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion. A poetry discussion which will take place in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, but number two being the Emily Dickinson playlist, the poetry discussion playlist, now over 300 videos large. The Emily Dickinson playlist approaching 100 videos strong. The short story, the poem in question today, the saddest noise, the sweetest noise. It reads as such: the saddest noise, the sweetest noise, the maddest noise that grows, the birds, they make it in the spring, at night's delicious close. Between the March and April line, that magical frontier, beyond which summer hesitates almost too heavenly near. It makes us think of all the dead that sauntered with us here, by separation's sorcery, made cruelly more dear. It makes us think of what we had, and what we now deplore. We almost wish those siren throats would go and sing no more. An ear can break the human heart as quickly as the spear. We wish the ear had not a heart so dangerously near. If there's a way to make you sad about something, Emily Dickinson will find it. And it's almost seemingly a simple poem. It's almost too easy until you really start to think about this one. And here's where I want to start. The saddest noise, the sweetest noise, the maddest noise that grows. The birds that make it in the spring at night's delicious close. Night's delicious close. We're talking about daybreak here. But it's almost as if we're looking at things backwards. If we're saying at night's close instead of day break, night's close instead of day's end, it sort of suggests that our speaker here is nocturnal, is night-centric. The placement of that line suggests that these birds are making their morning tweets as our speaker's day is at the close, at night's delicious close. It makes us think almost as if our speaker here were dead. The witching hour, 3:33 a.m., midday if you're on the opposite schedule. Which is a pretty dark turn, a very dark turn. But it's right before what might be the purpose of the poem. It makes us think of what we had and what we now deplore. We almost wish those siren throats would go and sing no more. This is our speaker saying the bird song is what reminds us not only of the dead, but also of the good things about life. The bird song reminds us of what we had but do no longer. But for the bird song to remind us of what we had but do no longer, the bird song has to be a memory with that which we have no longer. Why would a bird song remind you of your ex-babe if your ex-babe and you never sat beneath the trees? And what an innocent setting, isn't it? Sitting beneath the trees, listening to the bird song. And if we are under the assumption that our speaker here is somehow flipped, nocturnal, and we are assuming, because we're being told here, we're being told in that very next stanza, an ear can break a human heart as quickly as a spear. That bird song is reminding our speaker of the lovely departed and breaking their heart. It's almost as if our speaker is considering themselves the dead. Our speaker has assumed the nocturnal hours. Our speaker, it makes us think of all the dead that sauntered with us here by separation's sorcery, made cruelly more dear. This does not mutually exclude the speaker from being among all the dead. It would be precarious wording indeed, but separation from the dead does not suggest that the dead are all together, right? The line here says that think of all the dead that sauntered with us here. Not that they sauntered with us here while they were alive, necessarily, is it? We get this oftentimes in Emily Dickinson. We get this time and again that there is this strange limbo between life and death. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. And in that poem, it's nearly an eternity before our speaker realizes they're headed towards eternity. So this poem here, separation from the love, seems to have been what did in our speaker, what had killed our speaker. This need not be a literal death. Emily Dickinson, in that Hemi-powered brain of hers, has conceptualizations for more than just the binary alive or dead. There's so much going on in there for Emily Dickinson, so much space between here and the afterlife, it seems. I died for beauty, but was scarce adjusted in the tomb when one who died for truth was lain in an adjoining room. He questioned softly why I failed. For beauty I replied. These individuals in this poem, they are dead, they are deceased, they are gone, they are still talking, they are still communicating with one another. I think in this poem, our speaker is considering themselves maybe not among the dead, possibly just among the not living. The saddest noise, the sweetest noise, the maddest noise that grows, the birds, they make it in the spring at night's delicious close. Between the March and April line, that magical frontier, beyond which summer hesitates, almost too heavenly near. It makes us think of all the dead that sauntered with us here, by separation's sorcery made cruelly more clear. It makes us think of what we had, and what we now deplore. We almost wish the sirens' throats would go and sing no more. An ear can break a human heart as quickly as the spear. We wish the ear had not a heart so dangerously near. If our speaker is considering themselves among the ex-living, so much more of this poem makes sense. It makes sense why we are night-centric. So if you're alive, consider yourself among the living. The idea of heaven might seem pretty good, but if you're already past and heaven isn't there waiting for you, you understand that maybe there were misapprehensions, almost too heavenly near. Again, we've got here the non-mutually exclusive part there. It makes us think of what we had. What did we have? We had a life. We had those things that the living enjoy, but we now deplore. What is deplored in this poem? The saddest noise, the sweetest noise, the birds, they make it in the spring. That bird song, so deplored, so cruel, we wish that they would go and sing no more. An ear can break a human heart as quickly as a spear. Spears are deadly. Those are fatal. We wish the ear had not a heart, so dangerously near. Danger, is a word that pertains predominantly to mortality. I think our speaker is considering themselves amongst the no longer living. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or enjoy the things that I talk about on this channel, hitting the like button really does do me a lot of good, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, there's poetry on the channel every Monday. We are currently going through a read-along of Sylvia Plath's poems, collected poems. We're going through a read-along of Ernest Hemingway's short stories, the Finca-Vigia edition. We recently wrapped up Dubliners by James Joyce, and we're reading all sorts of stuff on the channel. So if that's the sort of thing you might look forward to, consider hitting the subscribe button and sticking around for more.